All right, joining us right now, Joe DiGenova, former U.S. Attorney to the District of Columbia. And what a good day to have you, Joe, because you know how the Justice Department works. You know their role in our society here in America. So please explain to me how Attorney General Eric Holder is the appropriate choice to represent the United States of America at that these very stirring and very important ceremonial events that happened over the weekend in France.
Well, he's not. Under protocol, he is not the appropriate person. He may have been in Paris on matters involving anti-terrorism, but he is not the person that you send to something which involves the leaders of 40 foreign countries, including Netanyahu, people from... I mean, it's unbelievable when you see who was in that march and that there wasn't a single U.S. official of any note there. The president apparently was watching football. The vice president, God only knows what he was doing. The Secretary of State was in India, apparently eating curry. The bottom line is this is a disgraceful moment for the United States. The president should be embarrassed, but of course he's not embarrassed by anything, so he won't be. This comes under the rubric of it's great to be a Democrat because you can play diplomatic hooky, you can make mistakes, you can lie, you can do anything you want if you're a Democrat. And the mainstream media will make nothing of this. But you know what? The French will remember. And they should be PO'd, and I hope they are. This was a disgraceful act of inaction and omission by the United States. What is wrong with this president and this administration?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, even if you buy this argument, this rather lame, I think a rather lame argument.
Oh, the security argument?
Yeah, the security thing.
That's such crap.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But even if you buy that, the question has to be asked. Eric Holder was in Paris. He was there.
And he didn't attend.
And he did not attend.
Yeah, I think Eric lacks some of the most fundamental political judgments. Let's put it this way. Let's assume this was his decision to make. If you don't go, it's so stupid and insensitive. Secondly, let's assume he was told not to go. Now, I have a theory about why there was nobody there. And it's completely consistent with the president's conduct about refusing to call things Islamic terrorism. This was a demonstration against Islamic terrorism. The French prime minister made it clear that the country of France is at war with Islamic terrorism. I actually believe that the administration decided formally not to attend so as not to be associated with that theme.
Wow. Wait. The president of the Palestinian Authority was there.
I know.
In support of the idea that we're at war with Islamic terrorism.
That's exactly
the Queen
right.
of Jordan was there.
Yes, and this shows you how deep-rooted this Islamic nonsense is with the president and the people in the White House. And this is all led by Valerie Jarrett and the president. Believe me, people in this administration do what they're told because they know if they don't, they'll be destroyed in public and behind the scenes.
Wow.
Holder is, of course, somebody who I just don't even understand anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, how you could, as the top U.S. law enforcement official, stay away from that march if you're in Paris. It would have been the first place I would have called. I would have made sure that the American embassy made all the arrangements and got me in that march.
I think most Americans, if they were tourists in France, they would have gone to that march, let alone actually a high-ranking official in the American government.
It's truly embarrassing. I, as an American this morning, I am ashamed.
Yeah.
Speaking of no-shows, I covered the State of the Union for about 25 years in a row, and I love the pageantry of the event. But there is this moment where the justices of the Supreme Court march in, sit down on the front row, and they sit there stoically, and they don't applaud because, they're the judiciary branch, and they're not supposed to show, opinions one way or the other. Should that fall by the wayside? Is it time for the Supreme Court to decide, as some members of the Supreme Court have recently, that maybe we shouldn't be participating in this?
Well, as you noted, many members of the court, Clarence Thomas, Antonin Scalia, Sam Alito, do not attend anymore. And the reason is very simple. When the President of the United States in the State of the Union in January of 2010 targeted the Supreme Court for its decision in Citizens United and attacked them frontally in the chamber in front of the other members, and allowed this raucous demonstration against a Supreme Court decision, he declared war on the Chief Justice. And you will recall, it is my theory, that Justice Roberts changed his decision in the Affordable Care Act because he was bullied into not overturning it. The Chief Justice himself, after that incident in 2010, said he found the whole thing very troubling. Yet he has continued to attend the State of the Union address ever since. They should all stop going. It is an embarrassment. It is an insult to the court. And the fact that he, who pretends to be a martinet about all things proper of the court, he, Justice Robert, doesn't recognize that is pretty sad.
Joe DiGenova, I want to turn your attention to a story that has been really remarkable to follow in Maryland. An Episcopal Bishop, this is a very high-ranking, in fact, the second high-ranking Episcopal leader in Maryland, first female bishop. She's been involved in what can only be described as a hit-and-run death of a cyclist, and this has a lot of ramifications for the church and also their interactions with the criminal justice system. What is going on here?
This is a very strange case. It involves the cover-ups by the Episcopal Church, possibly Baltimore and Baltimore County law enforcement officials. No announcements or statements were made about this case. It happened on Friday. We didn't hear anything until late yesterday or early this morning. She killed a gentleman who was the father of two children. That would be one thing. But this is the second major DWI that she has been involved in. When she was over in Easton in 2010, she was involved in another major incident, and at that time she was so drunk she could not take a sobriety test and was driving on 3 tires.
Wow.
This woman obviously is an alcoholic. They made her a bishop, and they hid the first incidents from the search committee. They didn't even know about the 2010 arrest, and we don't even know what the disposition of that case was. This is manslaughter, and the fact that she was allowed to become a bishop after the incident in Easton is one thing, but she's going to prison. And the fact that law enforcement officials clammed up about this over the weekend is very disturbing, and I think it needs to be looked into. Answers need to be provided, whether or not she has friends in high places, and if so, what they did after her arrest. She left the scene of this death and then came back 30 minutes later. She should have been taken into custody, handcuffed, and locked up with $1 million bond.
Yeah. All right, Joe, we will follow that. It is a remarkable story, and certainly one that intersects the political nature and aspects of the church, along with state law enforcement in Maryland.
You got it.
Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Pleasure,
You bet,
Joe.
guys.